Today we're sitting down with Mike Lardy, the owner of Bravo Burritos in St. Cloud. Mike's journey to ownership is unique. After working for 20 years behind the scenes, Mike took ownership of Bravo in 2021, continuing its legacy and propelling this well-known establishment into a new era. In this episode, we're diving into Mike's journey to ownership, how he uses content to connect with customers, and why being part of the local community has been such a driving force in his work. Whether you're a business owner, aspiring entrepreneur, or just a burrito fan, there's a lot to unpack today. Welcome to Behind the Brand, the podcast for small business owners, solopreneurs, and aspiring entrepreneurs who are ready to start strong, stand out, and stay bold. I'm Taylor.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Isabella, and we're part of the powerhouse team of marketers at Moxie Creative.
We're taking you behind the scenes to explore what it takes to build and grow a memorable brand.
Ready to get behind the brand? Let's dive in. Hello, Moxieverse. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Brand. Taylor here, and today I am joined with everybody's favorite Moxie, Mo.
Hi, everyone.
And we are sitting with our very first community guest, Mike Lardy.
What's happening?
Hi, Mike. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm living large. Thanks for having me
Awesome.
today.
Yes, we're so excited to have you here. We really kind of reserve these guest spots for clients, and we've not had the opportunity to work with you yet. We will not let that go. It will happen someday. But we knew that you were a fan of the pod, and you talk with Mike a lot, and you and I are officially Facebook friends, so it felt like no better time than today to get you on the podcast.
It seems like I run into Kelly all over the place too, and I keep inviting myself over. And figured eventually
the invite would come through.
That was a main factor. She was like, Mike is awesome, and he's a big fan. We got to have him on the podcast.
Yes,
so.
yeah, for sure. So, Mike, you are obviously a well-known name in the St. Cloud area, but we have listeners from all over the world. So can you start it off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, what's up? My name is Mike Lardy. I am a St. Cloud born and bred native. I live in the St. Augusta area. I am married to my wife, Sam, who is a co-owner of our business, Bravo Burrito. We have two little kids that are happily, in school today, now that we're into the school season. I have been the co-owner of Bravo Burrito since April of 2021. I started out working there way back in 1999, so I've been there a long time. I also own a creative studio space. I've been a lifelong artist, a musician. I play a bunch of different instruments at a medium, decent level, I jam with friends, and I do a little bit of recording bands. As far as our restaurant, I'm the marketing manager and everything there, so I do the video stuff, the creative stuff, social media, all that.
Yeah.
So,
and it's so fun. You do a great job with that stuff.
I hate being bored.
Yeah, we can understand that. So you definitely have your toes in a lot of different things, which is super fun. And as creatives, we can absolutely understand that. Want to take a few steps back. So this is a business podcast, right? So business marketing podcast. We love to talk to other people that are running businesses. And your journey to business ownership is a little bit different than some of the other business owners that we've had on here. So I'd love to just hear a little bit more about that story and how the opportunity of taking co-ownership of Bravo Burrito came to be.
So when I started working there when I was 19. A friend of mine got me the job there because I was kind of a drifter. I had worked at a couple fast food restaurants and stuff, and I was looking for my spot. A friend was like, hey, man, I can get you a job at that Bravo Burrito. And I was like, cool, okay, cool. So I got the job, and probably 6-8 months in, we were standing around doing what teenagers do at a restaurant, not working very hard. And he was like, dude, it would be so cool to someday own this restaurant. It would just be like a gold mine, this place is so cool and it's so busy and whatever. And I was like, yeah, dude, that would be totally great. I would love to do that, and whatever, I was 19.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of played it off. I was a musician. I was like, well, I'm going to make my thing, playing in bands, One of us is going to make it big. We're going to do our thing, right? And that turned into fun career, playing nightclubs and venues. I got to play with some really cool bands and stuff, and that was great. But when it comes down to it, I had a young child at the time, and I needed to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And if you get behind on things like child support, now you're in debt for the rest of your life for that sort of thing. So I kind of figured out how to stay with it and be good at my job. Mm-hmm. And Bravo had some ups and downs over the years, but when I was younger, I kind of ended up in a leadership supervisory position really young. Fast forward to 2005, my wife Sam got a job there, and she was going to school for business, so immediately came in and found herself in a management position. It was an interesting start. Our relationship was a bit adversarial. She was a hard worker, and I don't know, I was kind of a goof off. I wasn't her favorite person on the job. And then at some
Were you
point,
guys together at the time when she started there?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
We had just met. She's a couple years younger than me, and we did not hit it off at the beginning. But eventually, we ended up getting together and realizing that we did kind of have some stuff in common. We were both kind of nightlife people,
Yeah.
so we'd run into each other at the bars. And back then, there was a lot of like service industry night stuff, so
Yeah.
we'd always be at the same things and stuff. And one thing turned into another, and we were at a coworker's wedding, and the owners of Bravo were there, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are dating now?" And we're like, "Yeah, well, tell you eventually, right?" And not too long after that, they were like, "Well, if you guys are in this for the long haul, like, we'd love you to be our successors." And we're like, "Wow, okay." So we've been dating for 8 months, and they want us to.
Now they want us to take over.
Put some pressure on the whole thing.
We're like, "All right, well, we better be serious about this." And that was a long time ago. And after a few years, the succession thing did start to turn into something serious.
Yeah.
There was ups and downs with that too. And at one point we almost exited, and we were convinced to stay, and a few more years happened, and there we were, January of 2020. We were about to start working with the bankers and get the whole thing dialed in. And
Perfect timing.
yeah, it was pretty good. So needless to say, things got put on hold while the world figured out how everything works now. And the same thing happened in banking and in business. And come the beginning of the next year, when things were still weird, but like the banking sector was kind of coming back online and doing its thing. And we worked out the details, and we got the deal done. And April Fool's Day 2021, Sam and I took over as the new owners of Bravo Burrito, and here we are 4.5 years later, still doing it.
I love that. What has that been like for you guys? How have things changed from going to employee to now owners of the business?
Well, we thought that we would just hop in and it would just be, everything
Yeah, same
stays
thing.
the same. And on paper, it looks like, okay, this is a functioning business, and it's been here forever. It's going to be fine. But we had to, dial in the accounting system and all the back office stuff that, I don't know. I mean, you think everything that's going to go into it, but you don't. So at first it was just, we were going to try and smooth through the thing and just kind of coast. And I mean, the first year went really well. We had some great press in the community and everything, and the numbers were looking good, and we kept the entire staff. We didn't have any sort of like big turnaround. Sometimes when a business sells, like the new owner comes in and fires everybody, or everybody quits because but because of our long time in the game, and Sam was already doing the scheduling and the hiring, they basically were loyal to her and to us. So we kept everybody. And then after a year in, we started to really take a look at what we should be doing, what's working, what's not working. The founders weren't tech savvy in any way, so we felt like a big part of our process was to implement some better technology, point of sale, and eventually start, looking at our social media system and see what we can do to kind of take that from like something we post on once a month to something that is a little bit more dynamic and community forward, and there we are today.
Yeah, and you're definitely doing that. So that kind of leads us into some of the next stuff that I want to talk about, and that really is how you leverage Bravo's social channels and just your content creation ability in general to grow your business, to kind of facilitate some of your other passions and endeavors. So where did that, love for creating content and, short form content in form of videos come from?
It kind of was rooted in my career in music. Like I said, I was recording artist very young. Like I got a tape recorder, like when I was a kid, I had like my grandma's chicken coop, one microphone and a cassette tape machine, and I was good. Like that was my first step. So I've always been all about the creative process of making something, whether it's a song or a CD or, when it comes to the restaurant and business and marketing and everything, I guess I just kind of started to think of it like it's the same thing. As I got more involved in doing stuff for the restaurant, And that takes up a lot of time, and I don't have as much time to work on like music projects or whatever. I realize it kind of scratches the same itch for me.
Sure.
I'm a results driven person, whereas like if I post a video or something, I'm just on my phone. Like I gotta see, like wake up in the morning, like did it get some traction overnight? And I mean, I'm sure I'm not unique in that regard as much as the stats are just fun to look at and addicting a little bit too, right?
Absolutely. I'm huge on LinkedIn, and I'm like so obnoxious, I feel like, after I post something, and if it gets over, impressions, I'm like, woohoo, like I did it today. And, good, bad, or otherwise, it's not always a great thing.
And then you want to analyze it like deeply, like what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah, but that also is part of marketing, right? Like you have to be willing to just put something out there, see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then you have to shift and go back to, okay, well, this video worked that time, so let's try that same style, or, whatever. You're just kind of continuously rolling with whatever's happening and what people are responding to.
And you're beholden to what this platform is giving you also. And if the platform is putting you in front of a lot of people, you kind of want to be like, well, maybe we should rinse and repeat on that a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I was doing a little bit of just, investigating on you yesterday, and was looking at, the content that you're putting out for Bravo, and then, some other stuff that you're doing kind of under your studio umbrella. And there's some other organizations and things that you're affiliated with. So yes, you're doing, your content for Bravo, but what are some of the other kind of like passion projects or so to speak that you have?
Like about a year and a half ago, I got invited to the IMCCM board, the Independent Music Collaborative of Central Minnesota. Everybody knows Project 37,
yes,
the big wing of it. So I jumped in and started out as a fly on the wall there. But I was really excited to join because I've been following what they've been doing for a long time, and it was kind of neat to see what it is. I've never been a part of a nonprofit. All of a sudden there's like board meetings and we have to vote on stuff. And I was like, wow, I'm just going to sit here and watch.
I'm not important enough for this.
Yeah. Like, who gave me the authority to make serious decisions about this? And really, like, not too long into that, it started to get serious about buying the building, that Oblivion Coffee building that's now B-side Indie Music Cafe. I don't want to say like I stepped into a bigger role or whatever, but the whole organization got way more serious about owning a building and running a coffee shop that has paid employees. And it was really exciting to kind of be a part of that. I was a Java joint person back in the day.
Well, you and Mo can relate on that.
Yeah, I mean, I lived at that place. We had bands that played there. I was a regular. I was there for the transfer of ownership from the previous owners to a couple of friends of mine that owned it at the end of its run, and got to be really hands-on, ran sound there and stuff, and really like the cats that owned it in the late 90s, early 2000s, and like Zach from KVSC who booked the place, like if they wouldn't have given me a second chance, I maybe wouldn't have like stayed being a musician and been like in other bands that played at places like the Red Carpet and the Rocks and TB Cereals and stuff. It was like the first time I played there, we were a young teenage band, barely able to drive. We called ourselves the 10-year-olds. Because we got kicked out of a pizza place, and the person that kicked us out was like, you guys got to get out of here. You're acting like a bunch of 10-year-olds. And we went home and we started a band called the 10-year-olds. And we were trying things. We were experimenting with what it meant to sound good.
Sure.
I don't know. So we played at the Java Joint a couple times, and the last time we played there, it wasn't a very good experience. When I started a new band that genuinely was better, we kind of had a little bit more of like what it was to entertain people and not just be a bunch of jerks on stage. They were gracious enough to give us a second chance and play there. And we ended up being like a regular band, and we got to open for some kind of cool touring punk bands from the 90s, early 2000s. And the rest is history. Every band I was in after that, we wanted to have the opportunity to play at an original all-ages music venue. And then by 2007, 2008, that disappeared. And when Project 37 started doing its thing and booking the shows, there started to be a little bit more interest in the community of young people having an opportunity to do something. I mean, the young people now grow up in an era where they can create content. They can make videos and YouTube and stuff. I mean, I had a over-the-shoulder like camcorder when I was a kid, but there wasn't anywhere to put it except for on the VHS shelf when you were done with it, right? having that opportunity to play at a place like the Java Joint or now the B-Side Cafe, that's huge, and that will grow the amount of creative that happens in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we just had Anna from Project 37 and B-Side on, and I learned so much about the music community here in St. Cloud and, you know, how important it is to have a place like B-Side. And then, you know, having you say that, I know you had a huge connection to the Java Joint too, and that was before not before I was born, but like before me, before I even lived in St. Cloud. So, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's really cool that they pin you as someone to be like, hey, I can help move this along, because you clearly have such a huge history with the music community in Central Minnesota.
I'm super grateful for the invite, and I got to meet a lot of amazing people. Anna, in particular, is a machine.
Yeah.
I can't believe the amount of work and effort that they put into the process. I don't think it probably wouldn't have happened without a lot of Anna's input.
For sure. That's, I mean, very much what I gathered.
Yeah, even her advice at the end of our episode was about being a doer, and it's just like has stuck with me. Like,
Yeah, right?
if you want to see something happen, like someone has to be the
Yeah.
one making it happen. And I mean, she's doing that. You're definitely doing that, and doing it with creativity, and everything that you guys do is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So clearly, you know, Project 37 is one of the ways that you're involved in the community, but I feel like you and Bravo, you guys do a lot of really awesome things for our Central Minnesota community. And here at Moxie, that means a lot to us. We are very big supporters of the local things that are happening here. So what does that look like, community involvement or stewardship look like for you?
I suppose, number one, we're here in the community to stay. Bravo has been in business for 40 years this year. This is our 40th anniversary.
Crazy.
We've been in our current location since 1993. We were downtown, but that was a little bit before my time.
Sure.
Way before I took over as an owner.
Yeah.
So being that I'm a born and bred local, the business is local, I think it's important to communicate, collaborate with others. I've definitely done some content collaborating with other business owners, especially when something happens that we can all relate to
Yeah.
make worthwhile content, like when our good friend Tony Koo came to town, the food reviewer.
Yeah.
He went to, 5 different restaurants, and I interviewed I did a little like mini, vertical short interview thing with a couple of different restaurants, like your neighbors across the street at a Roy and stuff. And just to share that love that comes into the community. I was thinking about doing one coming up with maybe some of the people that I do some of our like merch stuff
Sure.
with. Like, I work with a few different local providers.
Yeah.
And I think that they need to be shown some love. I mean, they're companies like Rick at Imprint Apparel, who did some of our shirts, like they're not as like out in front, like exciting, you don't go there to get a burrito once a week,
Yeah.
People are walking in, like our store is designed for people to like walk in, hang out, talk about stuff, and I'd like to give a little bit of that love to some of the other businesses that, I mean, they make what we do possible. We're not just like a self-contained thing that does it by ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, love what you're saying, because I think that is so much, we do here, and we value partnership so much. And like, I don't just say partnership as a buzzword. Like, those are our best clients, our best relationships, when it feels very much like that, and where, I can help you, and in turn you can help me, and, we're all in this together. When we went through our transition, and, we really relied on our supporters and the partnerships that we built to like keep this thing going. And it means a lot. It makes a huge difference.
I mean, just being a part of the chamber, being in the chamber with you, we've even like talked about like the B-side, for instance. I had a connection with Anna, and I knew that they were doing that, and I knew you were on the board, and we had kind of talked a little bit about that, and that led to us kind of working with that. So that was, even though we haven't worked together, I feel like we love working with good fit companies, other creative companies, whether it's in the food industry or accounting or anything that's creative. I think they're a good fit with us, and collaborating and giving referrals and stuff. I think that's just a huge part, and you've definitely done that for us.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know if that's a question.
No, it's just like, hey, Mike, you're great. Thanks. Keep it up. Keep it up. You're
Testimonial.
awesome.
We're doing
Definitely a
testimonials here
testimonial
today.
for Mike
Yeah.
and his.
One of the things that I did want to ask, and now this is like, okay, we're going back to the top of the episode. But so recently, I don't know if it's because we recently became friends on Facebook or what, but like I'm seeing all of this like Bravo content, and you're really, I think, doing an awesome job of being innovative with what you're doing. Like you're bringing out new products. And I think as a business that's been, you just said you've been in business for 40 years, that can be maybe kind of hard or scary, or customers might not like that. How do you approach change and doing things a little bit differently, or bringing in new items, or whatever that looks like?
We have a core at Bravo that is very important, and we don't really change that. Like number one is we're a scratch kitchen.
Sure.
So we cook 99% of everything is from scratch. Every day, our super hardworking cook and support staff are cutting vegetables, processing meat. We take in whole chunks of meat. It's probably pretty rare in the quick serve community,
Yeah.
but we have like a little mini butcher shop back there. So we're doing a lot of the stuff in-house and making it real. And that is something that when we come up with like something that's going to be a new specialty item, we're going to try something new, that's one of the criteria that we want to stick to. We don't want to be like, oh, I want to do, like smoked brisket,
Yeah.
but we don't have a smoker. So we're just going to have to buy heat and serve,
Sure.
Like, we got to find a different way to do something than to buy like a heat and serve product from whatever food distributor that we're buying from. So scratch cooking is one of our core things, and local obviously is one of our things. Pretty rarely do I go and do something with like a company like Vistaprint or something, I mean, some certain things like it's almost impossible not to buy on Amazon, but like we'll go to Cashwise, and just buy stuff at the grocery store because they're local, we're local. When it's food, obviously,
Yeah.
like it's certain things you just don't want to ship like fresh food. I mean, it's a weird world we live in where you can kind of do some of that now,
Yeah.
but a couple of those things are like super fundamental to what we do. And when we innovate, we like to keep in mind that we got a lot of customers that have been day one
Yeah.
supporters, and we don't want to change the stuff that they're used to. So anytime there's something new, we want it to fit in with what we're doing and also respect our client base, our customers, because they are the ones that keep us alive, and they're the ones that know best. They know what they're buying, and they give us the indicators so we know what we should do.
Yeah.
Has there been any blunders? I know there has been some big changes. I mean, signage,
Logo, right? You got a
logo
new
redesign or
logo?
refresh. I mean, has there been anything that's been like really like, ooh, we had some haters on this, or
Surprisingly, not too much. Something like our logo refresh was so minute that most people don't even notice.
Sure.
Where you guys are like deep in logos every day. You're like, wow, the typeface is a little bit like the spacing is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But most people just kind of go with the thing. And like we had to keep the letter B like this. And
Sure.
when I teased on social media that we were going to be dropping a new logo, the big thing was like, don't change the B. Like, you can't do anything. Don't do it. But like when we took over the business, the official logo we were still using and putting on stuff was hand drawn. I scanned a PDF and probably did like some sort of primitive Photoshop background removal stuff on my
Sure.
own, or like use like Illustrator Live Trace or something to make it a little bit more useful. But it was still the hand drawn version. Very similar. If you come to our store and you go into the back hallway where the bathrooms are, we have the original sign from the downtown store hanging
Okay.
up. And that is hand painted. The guy that painted it still comes in to eat. And he reminds us, like, oh, I was the guy from ABC Painting that painted that sign, and that's super awesome that he still comes in and he's
Yeah.
still proud of his work from 1985.
Right.
So yeah, the backlash we get is pretty minute for most of the things that we do. We used to be full of plants. Like if you came in there before 2020, there was for a while there was like a line separator to help kind of make the line snake around, and it was just potted plants. Some of that stuff was from the founders when they lived in California in the 70s. A few of their plants, pretty horticulturally skilled were plants that had traveled from San Francisco and they lived at Bravo. Unfortunately for those plants, that's not Sam and my thing, is keeping plants alive. Our garden at home is an embarrassment.
Did you kill the plants?
They took no. Surprisingly few plants didn't survive at our hands. No, the founders took some stuff that was really important to them. And there was a couple of things, crazy story. We used to have like this tree thing by the front door. You couldn't miss it. And the owner, Bravo Bill, would walk by with a spritzer, and it was like the kind of plant that you like spritz.
Sure.
And he would do that. And we found a guy that wanted to take it, and he took it. And then he came in like 2 weeks later with a cast on his leg. And he was carrying it up the steps, like the front steps of his house, and fell and broke his leg carrying that plant. But he was still really stoked that he got to own that tree.
Just had a little bit of some battle wounds with it.
So,
that's
so
funny.
some of the plant life made its way to longtime regulars' houses.
Yeah.
and
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah,
But
that's so cool.
It just wasn't in the cards for us to have 30 live plants
Yeah.
in our restaurant. What we wanted to do when we did the big renovation before we shot an episode of a show called America's Best Restaurants, and that was kind of our catalyst to be like, we got to make this thing a little bit more video-centric. Most of what we did was like removal and kind of taking it down to basics. And then we started to slowly put in like couple like the new neon signs that we had made and some of the wall decor and whatnot, but it's still the same booths and tables and chairs that it's been since the beginning of time,
Love
basically.
it. What was that like shooting a TV show or TV episode?
I was probably like
Did you black out? Like, do you
ner-
remember any of it?
I was super nerve-wracked, like building up to it, especially because we had planned all this renovation stuff, and I'm like get myself stressed out and super under pressure, and then do stuff.
Yeah.
So we were getting close to like go time, and we were still like putting things up and finishing stuff. It was like down to like the last minute. I probably would have done more if I would have given myself time, but we got down to the last minute. And yeah, I could feel it, that kind of feeling of like anxiety in your chest leading up to it. The people from America's Best Restaurants were super professional. They made it super easy. They're a company that does episodes like that. I think they were, at the time, I don't know if they're still doing it, they were doing 4 a week
Okay.
with their specific hosting team. So they had a system. They come in, they're like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. They found their set spot. They're like, you make this food, we'll photograph it. You guys will sit down, we'll make some drinks, we'll interview. They made it like snap,
Sure.
super tight. And they're a company that they launch it for you rather than it being like on their channel or something. So it debuted on our Facebook channel.
Okay.
Which was kind of neat because their whole thing was like, we want to help you get attention for your restaurant. So we get the plays for it. And really it helped us begin the monetization process with Facebook. You know, that one did enough views that Facebook was like, oh, we can give you bonuses now or whatever. And that kind of inspired me to be like, oh, well, now we have to keep making high quality
That's
content
super cool.
to kind of keep the train rolling. And the CEO of America's Best Restaurants, Matt Plapp, and I became Facebook friends.
Sure.
I went and met him at a food show and we talked, and I'm part of an education marketing group that he leads now. And his process has been really helpful for me to take what I'm doing to the next level.
Super cool. I love that. That's awesome. Wonderful.
That's a crazy response to get, Facebook to want to, to monetize your stuff as a restaurant.
Yeah, right. And we have 5,500 followers, which is by worldwide metrics not a huge number. I'm grateful that we have that many people that are interested in our products. But there's people like Tony Koo that have hundreds of thousands of followers that have a different type of monetization than something where, if I do a few reels every month, like I'm get a little royalty. It's just like the royalties I get from a couple of songs I did back in the day that got used on MTV. Like every year, I get a couple bucks in the bank account, and it's like really cool.
Hey, I don't get a couple bucks in the bank account from MTV, so I think you're doing pretty good.
I'll take it.
Well, Mike, this has been such a fun conversation. I've loved getting to know you a little bit more and learn more about your journey to business ownership. But before we go, we like to ask all of our guests a few questions just to keep everything connected together. So are you ready?
Fire it up.
Okay. All right. What is your go-to business tip for others who are thinking about starting a business or stepping into business ownership?
It's going to take more than you thought it would on paper to get started. There's going to be surprises that you didn't know about that are going to cost money or cost time. And the more prepared you are for contingencies that you didn't plan on, some plan B stuff, the better it is. And number 2, I would say be ready to play the long game, because it's not like starting or running, we didn't really start Bravo, but running a business is something you should be in the long haul for. I never thought about buying Bravo and being like, in 5 years, I'm going to sell it and make $1 million and live on an island. Like, we're in it for the love of the game and to grow our business and do the best we can for ourselves and for everyone around us, and to create jobs for the community. And I think that playing the long game, being in for the long haul is super important.
What is one piece of advice you've received that's made a difference?
When I first started doing social media stuff, I was one of those restaurants that tried to take the best picture of the food and make it look the best that it possibly can, and share that and hope to expect results from it. And my friend Matt from America's Best Restaurants, one of the first big things that he taught in all of his training materials was, don't just share pictures of your food. Don't be another restaurant that just shares pictures of your food. It's put people in it, do fun stuff, be exciting, and do things that get people to hit the like button and to comment, because that engagement matters. And boy, was he right about that, because I still, I'm a hobbyist photographer, and I try to take really good pictures of my food, but I like to incorporate that as a small part of the whole game.
It's not the only strategy.
Getting out in front and talking about community and being involved in the community, and not just talking about food and what the next special is, has been huge for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You see that so much with restaurants, come in today, this is what we have, this is what we, but there's no personality, there's no humanity behind it. And you are, Bravo very much has humans and personality and everything behind their brand. So I think that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah. I actually knew that you guys made everything from scratch, but I didn't know to what end you did that.
Yeah.
That's really super awesome. I think you should highlight some of that stuff. Show some of the meat, man.
People in my restaurant marketing group, there's a lot of fear of showing the kitchen.
Oh,
Sure.
And when you're we have a kitchen that's 30 plus years old with very little renovation. So there's things that maybe I don't know, it's not dirty, guys.
Yeah.
Our kitchen is not dirty. The health inspector.
Let's just say that. It's not dirty.
The inspector comes in, we give high fives, we talk about our hot sauce, and we move on. We have a clean kitchen, but it's been around for a long time. But a lot of restaurant people are a little on the fence about bringing the camera deep into the kitchen.
Yeah.
But when we hire people, we have a social media consent form now. It's hey, we're going to be bringing cameras into the kitchen. Do you want us to not put you in the frame? Do you want to be featured? This sort of stuff. It's just nice to ask our people that, because you do, it's a small place. We have to be going into the kitchen and stuff. So yeah, so you're right. Maybe a little bit more of that. It's just, I've taken videos before of we grind meat to make chorizo.
I'm a little bit I don't know if I want to see raw meat.
It's not appealing to see. Yeah, right.
As an amateur filmmaker, thinking about ways to make those processes look exciting and as a part of the process to lead to that food photograph that everything looks amazing, and you have to put down everything and go to the restaurant right now. That's a journey that we're still working on.
Sure.
I just saw a behind the scenes how they do some video stuff with meat, ground meat, and they actually take red velvet cake.
Oh, sure.
And they squish it all together and put it through the processor, and it comes out and it looks like ground beef, but it's red. Maybe you could use that. Start eating some red velvet, ground up red velvet.
I'm gonna fill a cereal bowl with glue when I get home and put the cereal in it and make those glue cereal pictures just for you.
Yeah. Or as they use lard for ice cream, I think. To make ice cream look good.
Yum.
Anyways.
Yum. Wonderful. Well, Mike, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Loved hearing more about your story and your journey. I think it's a great reminder for everybody that creativity, persistence, community engagement, all of those things can really take a business farther than they might imagine. So thank you again. Everybody go check out Bravo Burrito. Follow you on your socials.
We're at Bravo Burrito or Bravo Burritos. But if you search Bravo Burrito, you'll find us. We just launched a new website, so you can go check us out there too. Same thing, bravoburrito.com. Real easy to find. Love to see you there.
Yes, wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Behind the Brand. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend. If you didn't, share it with an enemy. To keep up with us, follow along on our socials. Links are in the show notes below.